Welcome to the Mid-Am Podcast, episode number 2. We're your hosts. I'm Tyler Munds. On the other side of the screen from me is Nathan Furumasu.
Hello.
Hello. I didn't talk over you this time. Look, we're learning.
Hey, look at us.
God, we're getting good at this. So last week we dove into, what the podcast is all about. And we got to know Nathan a little bit better. So we figured today, or on this episode rather, depending on what side of time you're on, we will be learning a little bit more about yours truly. And then we'll be getting ahead of our 2024 golf related goals. So
the man, the myth, Tyler Munds.
I guess so.
So we have the same list of interview questions that you so courteously walked me through. It was a lovely jaunt. And so today,
almost as good as Sand Valley, right? Almost as good.
Core memory. So today, I'm going to do my best to navigate those waters. Starting off with, just give me your golf story. How'd you get into golf? And what is your current relationship to the game?
Yeah. So I've told this story a couple times on other various podcasts, but not on my own. It was my 16th birthday, and my dad, who had actually grew up on a golf course, but didn't, he would just like go and sneak out after hours and kind of dick around. But he didn't really play golf. But he was like, "Hey man, we've got time before dinner. Like, do you want to go like play some golf?" So I said, "Sure." And we like looked up. This was 2006, so YouTube wasn't like really a thing yet. I mean, it was a thing, but it wasn't huge, and so there wasn't like there wasn't as much content on there as there is now. And so we like looked up something on YouTube, like how to play golf, watched one video, and we're like, "We got it, no problems." We went to the reserve. If you know anything about the reserve, it's a nice resort. It's a nice course. We went up there and we're like, yeah, we're like, "We'd like to play 9 holes, please." And they're like, "We don't do that." But my dad talked through it, and it worked out. And they were super nice, and they gave us, some, a cart and some and some rental clubs, and went out there and played. Didn't know you could drive on the grass. And so for the first couple holes, we would like literally drive up, perpendicular to the ball, sprint out because we were petrified of holding anyone up, duff it 20 yards, sprint back, drive the cart, sprint, basically run. Yeah, we'd run a half mile. And then the marshal caught up. He's like, "You guys can drive on the grass, just don't drive on the greens." We're like, "Okay." And I kind of had one of those, hit a really pure shot, and I was like, "Oh man, this is fun. I could chase that dragon." And ended up getting a job there the next summer. Worked there for a few years, and we'd put on these like double shotgun tournaments in the mornings, where the entire course was taken up, and you'd get there at like 4:30 in the morning, spend a few hours setting the tournament off, the tournament up. The tournament would go off at like 7:30, and they'd have us clock out because there's just nothing to do for like 5 hours. And you could go home if you wanted to, obviously, but we just would stick around and like hit balls on the range and go chip and putt and stuff for like hours, and get some food. And when you're playing that much, practicing that much, and playing around like really good players, because there were some really, really good players, I got pretty decent pretty quickly. Played 1 year of high school golf, and it was awful. I think my lowest score was like 80, but I still had a blast. It was like a lot of fun. And didn't play at all really. Went to college and just didn't play because I was in college, and then got out of college, got a corporate job, really didn't play very much, tried to kind of get back into it in like around 2017, but then I changed careers and didn't have time. I was trying to navigate all that. And then around end of 2019, I was like, all right, I'm pretty established in my new job. I think I'm going to start getting back into golf. It was like December 2019. I think I'm going to get back into golf. And then, some stuff
Mm,
happened in 2020 and,
good timing.
which gave me a little bit of time to, focus on golf. And so, I focus a lot more on it, but I also, that's also when I kind of got introduced to the social media aspect of golf, which wasn't really around when I first got into golf. And so, um, I started kind of just throwing stuff up on Instagram, and it's grown since then. And it's been a lot of fun. I've met a lot of great people. I met you through
Mm,
social media. So, my current relationship with golf is I'm a 4 handicap. I worked my way down from the beginning of the year. I was an 8. I'm now, 4.0. I'm playing the best golf of my life. Shot even par this year, got a hole in one this year. Um, like just a lot of good. This was a great golf year for me. And it really opened up my eyes, or at least it opened up it allowed me to open my heart, if we want to start getting sappy, open my heart to like lofty ambitions around the game of
oh,
golf.
lean in.
Yeah. So we're all about friendship. So,
We're all about it.
it's important that we go deep.
Yes.
And so, yeah, my current relationship with golf is that I have a really strong desire to improve, to get into tournament golf, um, and kind of see how far I can go. And then also eventually I'd like to figure out a way to make golf like a stream of revenue, for me. And, whether it's through social media or through this podcast. It's a little early, I think, to be putting eggs in that basket, but you never know.
Yeah. Hey, if
Um,
anyone out there listening to this second episode of the Mid Am podcast falls in love with us and wants to maybe send some ducats our way, you know,
Feel free.
message us,
Yeah.
get in contact.
Yeah. I'll
Yeah.
send you Nathan's Venmo. Um,
Yeah.
uh, yeah. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. Kind of shut it down a little bit for the winter, while I work on some swing stuff, and I've got, some goals for next year. So yeah, that's golf in a nutshell for me.
Cool. Yeah, that is one facet of Pacific Northwest golf that I mean some people don't experience, uh, particularly those closer to the equator. We kind of have a true off season where it's not really a whole lot of golf to be played. So it's grind season, so to
Mhm.
speak. Um, that's interesting that you didn't have. I would have expected you had a little bit more of a competitive athletics history with golf, just as because you're a 4 handicap. Like it's rare, in my experience, that people get that good without um, being in the position of competition, because it's kind of like swords are forged in fire, right? Like
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
things have to be put through the ringer for the impurities to rise to the surface and for things to get refined and get better. So it's kind of it's that's really impressive that you've gotten as good as you have without um, much time in the fire,
Yeah.
so to
And,
speak.
I will say, like, while I haven't played a ton of like organized competitive golf, I will
Sure.
say the like and this is true of anything, and I'm not, this is not a proprietary or novel idea by any means, but if you want to get better, play with better people. I had the luxury of having guys that were very, very, very good, guys and gals, around me when I was first starting to play, and playing with those people teach you a lot very quickly, more than you could ever find out on your own. And even though you're not in necessarily an organized competitive environment, like just going out and playing around people who are like maybe playing money games, like maybe you're not even in it, but if you're around that, um, and it's happening near you and you can kind of feel that energy, like that
Mm,
rubs off on you. And, and then I was fortunate to meet the 1 year of competitive golf I did play. I played with some very high level players that I continued to play with, off and on over the years. And so, while I haven't had like a ton of organized competitive experience, I haven't been a stranger to the competitive side of golf. Um, it's just looked a little bit different, but
Hmm. Hmm.
it all kind of equals out where it's like, hey, if you're playing for more than something, uh, for more than just your score, like, your individual score, like what you're trying to do, if you're adding that secondary, uh, kind of competitive aspect of another person and, being consumed by what they're doing as well, it's like a totally different thing. And there are tons of people who started playing golf because of COVID, who I know have not experienced that, and they are missing out on a huge portion of the game that really makes it special. Like, golf is awesome, hitting great shots is cool, shooting your best scores is awesome, but it pales in comparison to playing in a competitive environment where other people are involved. And that's one of the reasons that I know I love it, and I know you love it too.
Yeah, I think there's that was well said. There's many life lessons to be learned in the game of golf the second it means something.
Mm-hmm.
So like once like a 3 footer to save par means something more. It could be a quarter or it could just be pride with your buddies. But the second it means more than just making par,
Par. Yeah.
there's a lot to be learned about ourselves, and just life in the game. And that's one of the things that definitely makes it such a rich and beautiful thing. Um, so you do have competitive experience. What was your last competitive experience?
So I played in my first club championship this year. I joined a golf club a little while ago, and I decided to enter the club championship this year. I didn't play in like the championship flight because I really had no business playing at that level. Um, but I did, you know what, I entered. I played in the one flight below it, and it was cool, man. It was nerve-wracking. I was in it after the first day. I was second place, 3 strokes behind the leader. And I had limped in. I mean, I could have put up a pretty good number. Yeah, yeah.
The Tiger Woods
The
heartbeat.
Tiger Woods 2008, yeah. Or no, 2004. No, I got to go way back.
Yeah,
2004 was the one with like the where you'd
like
hit the
three or
shot, and
four or something.
if it was in the air and you
Yeah, it
started
was,
heartbeating, you're like, I just made this.
and then the controller would vibrate,
Yeah. God,
shock.
that's such a good game.
Oh,
Such a good
all the
game.
feels. Yeah.
But
Anyway,
anyway, yeah. So I started the first day with 9 pars in a row, and then I think I shot
yes.
7 over on the back.
Ouch.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, man, I was nervous, dude, and my
Yeah.
swing broke down. When I get nervous, and a lot of my swing is it depends on timing. And if I'm, if you're nervous and things are a little out of sync, like, it just, and we'll get into the weaknesses of my game, but I'm not a great scrambler. So it's like, if I'm not hitting greens, like, I'm not scoring well. And I just didn't hit greens the second half of the day. But I managed a 79. So I shot in the 70s in really like my first competitive round since I was like 17 years old. I was super proud of myself. I was bummed that I kind of pissed it away the last 9 holes, but like, dude, I was like, dude, 79 in my first competitive round. I was like, dope. And then the next day, it was actually looking really good until about 15. I think I had a shot at, potentially doing something. I was going to need some help from the guy that I was playing against.
Mm.
Um, but it could have happened, but it just didn't happen. But I took second place. And I shot
Wild.
79-80, which was, relatively consistent.
Yeah.
Um, Felt like I did not, I felt like I didn't hit one pure golf shot all day, on Sunday, and still managed like to shoot 80. So I was, again, like, that feeling like that was the worst score I could shoot that day.
Hmm.
I was really proud of myself for, for kind of making that happen when everything wasn't like feeling super great. And I was on top of that, I was nervous, very nervous. So that was my most recent. It was like August.
Whew. Dude, you got me. You got me. I love that. I love stories where, like success story. Everybody loves a success story. That's why movies are made about them. But I get so worked up and like a little teary, a little emotional when people are put through the ringer and are just and this is not to say that you were out of your depth, but when people are kind of like fish out of water,
Oh, I
first
was
go
I was in over my head a little
and
bit for
yeah,
sure.
but and the moment is massive, and somehow by gumption or fate or what have you, they kind of like they they do it right. Flashback to the Ryder Cup just this last year, like Max Homa
Oh my
taking that
God, dude.
unplayable lie and the drop, and then to get up and down, dude. When he made that putt, I was bawling.
Oh
Like
my God,
I
dude.
didn't even care
I
we
teared
were
up
gonna
too. I
lose
was like,
anything like that. I was just like that is golf. Like
oh, and
cool.
I mean, just how like when that thing dropped, you could just
Oh,
feel the pat. You're just like, dude, that's what that
oh,
guy is made of. He is
yes,
like that putt. He put every essence of his being into that putt, and he
yeah,
made it. And
and
yeah,
yeah, even after the fact, and he's like, yeah, my knees were shaking, like, bro, like I don't know how I even hit that putt, and it's just like,
well,
but he did it,
in his
Oh,
interview with a huge rival podcast of ours, No Laying Up, he he talked about
unfollow
how
them, Un- follow us instead.
it's either them or us.
That's right.
Um, he talked about, he goes, there's this idea of like having the putt to win the Ryder Cup, but dude, having a putt to not lose the Ryder Cup, that's a
That's
whole different level of like pressure. And he
yeah,
just, oh God, yeah, that just that gets the blood
yeah,
pumping.
yeah. So I love your recounting of that got my heart racing a little bit. It was good. Sorry, no laying up. We don't hate you. We love you. Don't squash us.
You don't need to send the cease and desist, man.
No,
We will
no, we're
both
good.
cease and desist.
We're good. We'll take a hat though.
Yeah. Or a towel. I've heard those are good luck.
Sure. Yeah. Um. Cool. Well, as intense as that was, tell me about your most intense golf memory.
So, it's funny, your story about Sam Valley, it actually kind of jogged my memory of an intense golf memory for me that is somewhat similar. And I took a trip to Sweetens Cove 2 years ago for an event, Cam's event, which I know you did the
Mm-hmm.
flag for,
Yeah.
Masquerade.
Mhm.
And first day was super cool, obviously, but the second day was a free play day. So we had all day to play as much golf as we wanted. And it was like, if you've ever been to Sweetens, it's hard to explain. It's magical. It's a 9-hole golf course. It like look up the speaking God, just like a free ad for No Laying Up, but No Laying Up's interview with Rob Collins, the designer, is one of my favorite. I've listened to it probably 10 times because the story of Sweetens Cove is just so cool. But it's truly like a playground for adults who love golf. It
Mhm.
is 9 holes. There aren't even like full permanent bathrooms there. It is just a golf course, and it's a really wonderful golf course. And the way that everything was structured, it was just like, go find a group, go find a hole, go play. And we had like this money game and that money game and this side action and that side action. And while these guys are on 4, and we're actually we're technically playing them right now too. And just like that whole experience was great. And then we were playing with the money game, and I was partnered up with a guy, Ryan Hardenbrook, the Cigar Don
Oh
on
yeah. Yeah.
Instagram.
I made
And
him a golf.
Yeah, he's a good guy, and he's also from Oregon. I We were on I think it was the fifth hole, which is like a drivable par four, and so I hit the shot. You know, I took a mini driver because we were playing up one of the up tees. It was probably like 250 yards. So I just like roasted my mini driver, um, and hit it to like the center of the green, and like we were so jazzed because we were in such a good position to like win the hole, and there was like quite a bit on the line. You know, relatively, it wasn't a huge money game, but like relative to what we were playing for, it was a big hole. And everyone else had kind of bailed out to the left, which is going to be a really tough chip to the flag we were playing. Um, and we were on the green, but I mean, still probably had about a 70-foot putt.
Mm-hmm.
And Ryan and I are looking at it. He's putting it because we're doing like an alt shot thing. And
Yeah.
we're looking at it, and we pick a line, and it's just like, all right, dude, get up there and hit the speed. Hits the putt. We're watching it. We're watching it. We're like, okay, it's doing what we thought it's going to do. Doing what we thought it's going to do. And then it was well, hey, that's better than most. Better
Mm-hmm.
than most. And then it drops. And, you know, I mean, there are probably 20 of us on this green.
Yeah.
And everyone is just like, oh my God, I cannot believe that putt just went in for eagle. And like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, dude, we were just so jazzed. I mean, we played, and then, you know, we just kept playing, and we played until we couldn't see. Um, and like I've gone on several golf trips recently in the last few years. I've gone on big golf trips, and I will say that is the first one where I was like, dude, I do not want to go home. Like, I'm not golfed out. I don't like. I would stay here forever if I could. And yeah, that was just like I can, like you said, I can I can put myself there right now. I can like see the colors of the sky. I can like I can feel the firmness of the ground. But also like feel like the rain that's coming, like because the atmosphere is heavy. The rain had kind of come and
Mm-hmm.
gone, and yeah, man, it's just like a super special place. So it's like if you can find those types of places, and Sand Valley is obviously one of them. Bandon, I'm sure there are a lot of like
Mm-hmm.
similar experiences. Sweetens is incredible. You know, it's just like that's another kind of a different like level of golf that again, not maybe not a ton of people experience, but you know, I would say try to figure out a way to make that happen because it's special.
Yeah, yeah, and definitely there's a good handful of those events that are going on. If you can find them, if you're looking for them, they're there for sure.
Mhm.
If you're one of those people who just got into golf through COVID and kind of are finding your way, um, check out Cam and King Collective. He puts on a huge, awesome event. Definitely check out Matt and the people at Sweetens Cove. Um, just part of the community that we talk about with like social media and hopefully this podcast. Brought to you, sponsored by No Laying Up. Um, um, cool. Well, you mentioned previously that scrambling is not your forte, but kind of round out the other side of that coin for me and kind of give me the full spectrum of what are the strengths and the weaknesses of your game right now.
I hit the ball pretty straight. Um, I don't really lose balls. I don't hit it out of bounds. I kind of keep it in front of me. I can find the ball. I don't really get into like real trouble. So you know, like driver, straightest club in the bag.
I
You
hate
know,
you.
I That's why we're good together, dude. We ham and
Right? We need
egg
to play.
on and
We need
off
to
the
play
course.
some team events or something.
Yeah.
Ham and egg.
So yeah, I hit the ball very straight. I hit my irons pretty good. It's just when I start getting into that like 80 yards and in is where, you know, it's like I'll be playing with people, and it's like I'll hit my tee shot, hit my iron shots. Um, you know, and it's like the first couple of holes, and you know, they're like, "You're what? You're a six? How are you a six, man?" Like, and it's just like, "Oh,
Mm.
you'll see, you'll see." Um,
Just you wait.
And I've done I like for 4 months I did the golf metrics, Mark Brody strokes gain golf metrics app. It's great, by the way. It
Hmm.
does require a lot of data entry, but if you want to know like where you suck really bad, it will tell you. And
Mm.
so basically, like off the tee and approach, I was like a +2. Some of my rounds are literally like a +2 or +3, and then like around the greens and on the greens, I was like a 14. Um, like it's not good. So yeah, like partial wedge shots, just any shot around the green, put me in a bunker, auto bogey, like it's like +1.5 strokes basically. And then on the greens, like if I'm outside 25 feet, like my three putt chances were up until recently. I've made some changes technique wise, and also like really have stuck to. I've gotten a lot better at having a good routine that's helped me stay. Anyway, back to
Hmm.
my weaknesses, but I say still overwhelming short, like 80 yards and in is where I lose a ton of my strokes. And so,
Why
the
do you
great,
think that is? Why do you think that is?
um,
Is there a common miss? Is it the strike, or is it just distance
yeah,
control?
so it's
Or
it's it's for with the wedge stuff. It is the way that I deliver the club to the ball. I add
mm,
loft, and so it's very difficult. Like distance control when you're working with those like finesse shots is if you're not delivering the club in a stable, kind of very consistent way, like you just don't know. I mean, I
mm,
could most of the time it's like I get under it, it goes up, and I leave it short. Or and then if I
mhm,
try to like, okay, cool, I'm gonna really close the face down, then I end up like chili dipping it or completely
yeah,
fat, laying sod over it. So like with the wedges, that's
mm,
it. And then I think the stuff with like the short game, or like really like around the greens, I don't really practice it. That's probably problem number one. And number two, I actually think it goes back to before I really started working on my swing. Like I used to, this is like over a little, 18, let's call it 18 months ago. I would hit maybe four greens around.
mm.
Six, it was like tops, six greens around. And it's like after the seventh time you have to try to get up and down for par, it just does not, I totally check out. And so like, I think there's some residual like trauma is
Trauma.
very,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a little bit of a that's a very intense word for what it is. But yeah, there's like trauma around like when I'm having like a shot around the green. I have essentially checked out of that hole. I'm like, well, got no chance here. So let me just like figure out a way to get it in. But I'm not like deliberate. I'm not picking out my spots. I'm not going through a routine. I'm not thinking about what I want the ball to do. I'm just like, and a lot of times that leads me to just like the feeling, the anxiety that I have around is like, I have no idea what is going to happen when I try to get over this ball and swing. So, um, I think part of it is just like, I just totally check out because I haven't hit the
Mm,
green and I'm mad.
mm,
And then, I just don't have like a good foundation of skill to have like the different shots around the green because I don't haven't really put a ton of time and effort into practicing it until very recently. And hey, newsflash, if you practice things the right way, you're gonna get
they
better.
get
And
better. What?
yeah. So I've,
Yeah.
I've already started to see like my putting statistics have improved like dramatically just by implementing a routine, and like making a very small tweak to like the levelness of my shoulders,
Mhm.
um, and the certainly like the chipping and pitching and stuff and sand shots. Like I have a long way to go there, um, but I am working on it.
Cool. Well, I am a newly reformed from the previous episode advice giver, so I'm not going to say anything to that, and we're just going to move on to the next question. Um, so, what's one challenge that you can identify that you feel like is preventing you from taking those next steps, going from, the 4 to a 2 or to scratch, or shaving those couple strokes in a round?
Um, I think I think it's mostly like the way that my brain works, which is real
Mm,
tough because it's the only one I have. Um, I
mm,
just I know myself well enough to know that like I struggle committing to something long enough for me to genuinely determine if it's going to work or not. And it's something that like my coach has learned about me over the last year, and he now just gives me a ton of shit about it. Um, and he's basically gotten to the point where he'll be like, all right, we're gonna work on this, but this is all I want you to think about, dude. Like, this is all I want you to worry about. And then it's like, oh yeah, no, for sure, for sure, for sure. And then like the next
definitely.
day I'm texting him like, okay, so I am thinking about this little thing though, like this tweak that we didn't talk about. And he's like,
But what
no.
about
Yeah. And he's like, he gets this, it's like the
the spray bottle?
metaphorical squirt bottle out. And he's like, no, no. And so like I just analysis or paralysis by analysis. I overcomplicate things. Um I sow like seeds of doubt within myself. I constantly struggle with like imposter syndrome. It has improved a little bit this year, but like I still have these thoughts of like, well, I've just like gotten lucky and have struck the ball. I like my timing's just been perfect today. And like those good
Mm,
shots were accidents. Like the real, like the real me is going to come out at some point. And it's like,
mm,
well, no, that's not the real you is the Ford handicap, as a guy that's capable of shooting par and probably under par. Um,
mhm,
and like convincing myself of that has been very difficult. And so, it's not like a time thing. I don't think like I am fortunate in the way that my schedule, I have a like full autonomy over my schedule. So, you had mentioned you find ways to carve out kind of these small snacks of golf throughout your day. I'm very similar. So I have that opportunity to figure out a way to get little bits of practice in. And one thing that I've learned is that if you practice the right way, it doesn't take a ton of time. It just takes like, you just have to use that time that you do have very, judiciously and like practice with intent and
mhm,
be disciplined in the things that, what your goals are and sticking to those things. And so, it's not a time thing. It's not like an access thing. Like it's truly like me not allowing myself to like be patient with myself because it's, we joked about it last episode and we joked about it when we first wrote these questions, but it's like, going back to the strengths and weaknesses, like, well, what's your weakness? I'm like, oh, I'm too hard on myself. I'm too much of a perfectionist.
yeah,
But in golf, that's a problem. That's a really bad thing. Like being too hard on yourself is, and setting expectations that are, um, unmanageable or unfair or counting yourself out before you even had an opportunity to prove yourself wrong. um is it's
mhm,
just golf is so mental, especially as you get better. um
yeah, it
that's kind of that's my anchor is my
yeah,
just it's my mental.
fair. I mean, that's a large part of the game, according to, I think somebody famous one time said that golf is played on the 4-inch space between your ears.
I think
Some
it's Bobby
guy,
Jones.
yeah,
I
it's
think it's
some
Mr. I
some
think it's
no
Mr.
name.
Jones.
Yeah. What did he ever? Whoa. What did he ever do in golf? Not
Not
not a whole lot.
much.
Not a whole lot. Um.
He didn't even go
Yeah.
pro.
I mean, that.
Idiot.
What a joke.
That moron.
But yeah, I think that's something I read recently. How do you look at yourself and your performance objectively without internalizing the negative portions of that objectivity, or well, there shouldn't be any negative portions to that objectivity, so without adding it, I guess I should say.
Right.
How do you hit a bad shot and in the moment, or even just after the moment, go, okay, that was a bad shot. Why did it happen? For these reasons. Learn from it and move on
Mhm.
versus, what the hell, man? You
Yeah.
know,
You idiot.
uh, you
You moron.
dummy.
You know how many
And my,
times
my,
a round I say, you moron
you
to myself?
moron.
It's probably not a good thing. Yeah.
Nah, we're gonna need to, clean that up a bit. But
We gotta tighten that up.
yeah, that is fascinating though. Like, just to think about like working on the right things. I feel like you hear the entire spectrum when it comes to like, oh, what do the pros do? Because you have guys who are like VJ and who beats thousands of golf balls, and then you have guys like Brooks or DJ or these kind of guys who seemingly like
We're
don't
not even
even
sure
go
if
to.
they like golf.
Yeah, they don't even like it. They just kind of show up and like, I hit white thing that way, like
Well,
caveman
and
smash.
going back
Uh,
to one of the guys that I played with when I was in high school and working at the reserve, his name was Jason. He was from Hawaii. The
mm,
dude, if he stepped foot on a driving, the guy was incredible. I mean,
yeah,
he just, I mean, he flagged. It seemed like he flagged every iron shot.
yeah,
Great putter, super high level player. But if he stepped foot on a driving range, immediately got the shanks. Immediately. And it wouldn't it's not like he would get the shanks and have the shanks. It was just like if he was on a driving range, he shanked every shot. And then when he got on the course, he performed. And
don't
so
give him enough
like,
time to think.
yeah.
It's dangerous. It's dangerous. Um, yeah, cool. Well, I was trying to think of a really neat segue on how to talk about which pros swing you like, and then you just kind of derailed it by taking it back to something else about
Hey,
your buddy.
I'm
Don't even.
learning, dude. I'm learning.
But
You gotta
anyway,
get,
it's okay. I'm learning too. We're learning together.
friends.
So anyway, um, you'd like to have a swing that looks like some pro out there, I'm sure.
Yeah.
What pro might that be?
Oh man. I go back and forth between Tommy Fleetwood, and Xander Schauffele. Um,
Mm, those are different moves too.
they are, but
Well, yeah.
they're very, I don't want to, the word's not compact because like Xander's super wide, but it's just so like it's just so in sync. It's so
Succinct.
succinct. It's so
Yeah.
simple. You watch it and you just immediately you're like, I get it. I understand why they're the best in the world. Cause like, how do you screw up when you got that to work with?
Right.
Um, I will say though that like aspirations to something that I could never achieve because I just don't have the body type. Nelly Corda, I just am not that tall
Mm,
and it's slender and lanky, and
hmm.
have that much just length to work with. If I could change my anatomy, I'd have Nelly's swing all day, but I can't. I'm a short king like my man Xander and Tommy. I think Tommy's pretty short. So those are guys that I'm like, yeah, you know what? I could kind of emulate that swing a little bit.
Fair. Cool. All right. So, rounding out our little interviews here, we kind of land on our maybe our biggest question with
Mhm.
regards to the future of our life with golf, and also the future of like the podcast and just, you know, a whole lot of things surrounding this spectrum. But um, we've talked about, you know, how good you have been, and the fact and the strength that you can keep it in front of you, you can keep it in play and stuff like that. But how good do you think you can really be?
Yeah, I love this question. I loved when you brought it up because it's
Oh,
something that
we don't need to give credit.
I will, man. It wasn't my idea. Um, I'm not the doctor of the duo.
Well, well, tone it down.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think why I really like this question is like it almost kind of depends on the day.
Mm,
If if I can, because I can try to step back and be like as objective. Like if I wasn't me, what would I say? But it's like 2 weeks ago or a month ago, Distance has always been like a insecurity of mine. I don't hit the ball very far. I hit it very straight. I just don't hit it very far. Um, and so I would have said about a month ago, like, I'm hopefully I can get to scratch. But it's gonna be like I have to play like 6,500 yards or less. Because anything beyond that, I like. It seems that like my handicap jumps up, or like my poor player. I guess my hand. I don't know how to say this, but my handicap jumps up exponential, or like it does not keep pace with, or the difficulty of the course and the length of the course does not keep pace with like how much worse I get as the course gets longer. Like it's not a
Sure.
linear relationship between like the length of the course and like
Sure.
my skill. Like as the course gets longer, like I get worse and worse and worse and worse. Um,
Well, it just, I mean, to interject, it highlights, what you would say is the weaker part of your game. Like
yes.
the longer you have in, the more you're going to have to rely on your scramble and your short game, the less greens you're hitting, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, cool.
So I would say like in with some of my goals in mind, of wanting to play more competitive golf, where it's like, well, if you're playing competitive golf, like you're not playing from 6,200 yards, man. Like you're, like um, the Puget Sound Amateur, which I unfortunately had to pull out of last second because of work. But the first round was played at Spanaway, and they played it at 7,100 yards in the rain. Dude, I would have shot 95, maybe. You know, or that, at least that's like the thinking in my brain, right?
Sure. I mean,
But
that's big.
I've worked on some sequencing stuff in the last month with my coach, and now all of a sudden I'm like, I've unlocked this. It hasn't cured everything. I'm not like, I haven't made like leaps and bound change or, improvements, but it has showed me what I am capable of doing that I did not think was capable. I did not think I was capable a month ago. I thought there's just like, I just swing slow. And that's not
Mm,
true. I can actually move it if I'm just moving my body the right way.
mm,
So with that in mind, um, I think I'm capable of kind of, I mean, not to borrow from you, but yeah, I think plus handicap, like shoots under par kind of thing, um, on a somewhat, on a 25% of my round basis, is well within, um, well within my like wheelhouse. Um, but I also will say, I'll put a caveat on that and saying that, like, I think that I'm still discovering a lot about my game and what I am capable of. The one thing that this last year, and I may dive into more. If you don't follow me on Instagram, you don't know what I'm talking about. But I've really worked like the last
yeah.
really worked like hard the last year on my game, harder than I've ever. I've dedicated more time, energy, resources to improving than I ever have. Um, and it's kind of that thing where it's like the more you know, the less you know, or the more you know about the things you don't know. So, like I am now learning, like, dude, I haven't really even fully begun to understand like who I am as a player. Like I need
Mm,
to learn that. So I think as time goes on and I put myself in like more pressure situations, more competitive situations, start learning to trust myself as a player. I'm not, it's like, I'm not capable of being a professional golfer. I don't think anyone can work to get there. I think you're born. I think you are born with like some innate something that makes you capable of being a professional golfer or playing at that level. I don't have that. But I do think that, hey, maybe like is being a contender at like the Oregon Am someday in, or even the Oregon Mid Am, like truly like being able to potentially win that, is that in my wheelhouse? Right now, I would say no, but I'm going to do my best to um, not leave that off, take it off the table.
yeah. That's one reason I love this question is like you said, like it can, your answer will change, but also just that, like, the better a player is, the more we're gonna the more we try and toe this line between our self belief and also how much we know about how hard this game is. So it's like I feel like it's only going to be the ignorant people to some degree. I mean,
Mhm.
self belief is an important factor, but to some degree, like if somebody who was like an 8 handicap, I asked this question and they were like, yeah, I could probably play on the mini tours or something, or I could be like a +6 or put like, no, you got
No.
a lot of learning to do. Just
Well,
like
I that
there's so much that goes into it, and um, yeah, like could you or I have ever been on tour? Probably not. Definitely not.
I'm gonna say,
There,
well, it's funny.
there
Like,
are some.
there's that question that gets thrown around every once in a while on like social media. It's like if you had 3 years, basically, it's like extending the Paper Tiger project across. Like,
Sure, yeah,
if you had 3 years, unlimited XYZ, lessons, play. That's all you did. Like, would you make it on tour? The correct answer is no. You would
no,
not.
never,
There's no chance. No
no.
chance.
Well, and not
Um,
only that, just like capability wise, but like the mini tours now are so ludicrously like deep. The fields are unreal. Like there was a thing somebody just asked John Rahm recently, like how if he thought he could Monday qualify, like
and
how
he
many
said
times in a year.
yeah, he said
If he
if
did
he
it,
could do 2 or 3, that'd be
yeah, yeah,
phenomenal.
out of 24 or whatever. This is John Rahm, like, um, so it's like it's not only just like are you born with it, but it's do you come to it early enough? Because there are guys on those mini tours who probably were just a late bloomer and didn't have like some stellar college career and
Mhm.
the ability or the opportunity to turn like PGA pro right away, and they're gonna have to try and grind it out on the mini tours, and they're just stuck there because the fields are so deep and guys are so good. It would take it takes a stroke of luck. That's why they always like break down weeping at the
Yeah.
end of these Corn Ferry Tour events and stuff.
Well, you think about Max Homa, right? I mean, he had a stellar college career. He was NCAA champion. Came out, got his PGA Tour card first year on Corn Ferry Tour, and
Mhm.
then made $17,000 on in 2017.
Yeah,
Even that, like if he's struggling and he's now what, the seventh ranked player in the world.
yeah, I don't know.
Um, he was top 10. He was top 10 at the
Yeah,
very least.
he's up there now.
Um, if that guy was like contemplating on calling it quits, you
Mhm.
have no, like, you just don't, like, not to say that you can't be a great player, but you cannot be that, you can't be up to that upper echelon. And I think we've established that pretty well. So I'm beating a dead horse at this point.
Yeah,
I
but
apologize.
we could, we could probably be pretty good.
I think so.
I think so.
We've played with each other
I
enough.
think you have more. I think you have more in you than probably I have in me because I've been around it and done it a lot longer and have maybe deeper ingrained bad habits when it comes to scoring. Uh, and you're a little bit fresher to it. And I think there's always, anytime someone's like newer to a skill, they improve faster. So, I mean, I think you could be more in like I see you in a similar vein as I see some of these players that I've played with that are, have played on in some professional events and been at like the +5, +6 level because
Well,
you've just
well,
got
I appreciate that. That's very kind of you, and I hope to be able to prove you right someday.
you will you will. So that concludes the
Interview.
interview portion. I guess the back half of this episode, well, probably not half, probably just kind of
It'll
rounding
should go
things
pretty
out.
quick. Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna dive into our goals that we've established for the 2024 season. Some of them are going to be kind of like more immediate, I would say, in the part of the year,
Hmm.
just because we're the Mid Am podcast, so that our namesake events occur a little earlier in the year, um, and let's dive into that. Let's break that down. Do you want to start listing through yours
Yeah, I'll
first?
jump in. Yeah, so my number one goal next year is competitive golf. So I have set my goal as 50. I want to play 15 competitive rounds of golf. That's like stroke play, but by USGA rules, put everything in type of competitive rounds. And one of those being, I want to play in the mid-am qualifier. And that goes into my second goal, which is I'd like to qualify for the Oregon Mid Amateur Championship. So qualifying for that's usually in April. And then I think the actual event is in June, I think.
Hmm.
So that is my, as it relates to competitive golf. From like a scoring perspective, I want to get my handicap below 2. So I cut my handicap in half this year. I'd like to do it again next year.
Hmm.
And then I'd like to shoot par from the tips at my club. I shot par from the one up from the tips, so I'd like to shoot par from the tips at Persimmon, and then I'd like to shoot under par from literally any tee box. I don't care. I just want to like get over that mental hurdle of like shooting in the red figures. And then the last one, scoring related, is 125 birdies. I got 100 birdies this year. I want to get 125 next year. And I really got 105. I got most of them like between like,
Yeah,
I want to say July and the end of September. So,
he's
um,
thick.
that's right. And then my stretch goal will always be to win a trophy. For golf. I want a trophy so freaking bad to put in my golfist that I've actually won. I found the 1952 Oswego Lakes Country Club champion trophy at an antique shop, and I bought it, and that's my golf trophy that I have, but it's not mine.
What?
Yeah, it's not
That's
mine, and I
yeah.
want it. I want one for me. So
That's
that's
super cool.
that's my stretch goal until I do it.
Nice. I like it. Let's see.
What do you got?
I'll race through these because I don't have much. Mostly, I would like to play more golf. So I have a goal this year. I think I said I have
12.
played like 12 rounds.
Yep.
I'd like to double that. I'd like to get,
Okay.
I put 25 rounds of golf in next year, enough to kind of fully turn the handicap over and then some.
Mhm.
Um, I think that would help me a lot in the things I need to do to get better is just, I need to be on the course. Um, Secondly, I would like to get up to 120 miles an hour clubhead speed. I don't know why. It's a stupid kind of vain goal. Well, no, it's
Speed
not.
is
But
king. Speed is
yeah,
king, man.
speed is where it's at. Um, and I'm not far off from there. I did a driver fitting at the end of this summer here, and I was cruising 110 pretty easily. Touched like 113, 114 a couple times, and I didn't feel like I was swinging it great. So also, this off season putting in working on things like sequencing and working on transition and good tempo, things that are gonna promote more speed. And I'd like to do some form of intentional speed training, but currently right now I'm kind of weighing the options between a few different systems, ripstick or I like Mach
Mach
3
3.
speed type
Yep.
stuff, just to name a few who do not sponsor us, and I will talk about them no more. Um,
No free ads.
Not yet, no free ads. Um, One other thing I'd like to have an under par round this year. It's been a while. With my history with some collegiate golf, I never put up anything stellar there, but in the years right after college, I was I feel like that was kind of I peaked a little late, and started playing some better golf, and I've been under par a handful of times, but just due to the sporadic amount of golf I've played over the years, my handicap was at one time like down to a 3, I think,
Mm.
and then it's been up as high as an 8 in recent years. So I'm kind of on my way back down, and I'd like to sort of taste that sensation again. Um, it's the name of our show, Mid Am Podcast. I want to try and qualify for the Oregon Mid Am. Definitely not the national Mid Am yet, but I think that'd be kind of a cool stretch goal.
Season 2.
Season D. But definitely Oregon, I feel like, is within my reach if I clean up a few things
Mm-hmm.
and am able to get in some good rounds. At least to qualify past the qualifier.
Yeah.
I like to make goals that it's good to have some goals, I think, that are more sort of just lofty and out there, but then I also like to have some goals that I know are well within my control. Um so like 25 rounds of golf, that's totally within my control. It has nothing to do with,
Right.
a score or
Yeah.
anything like
That's
that.
just going out, showing up.
It's just being there. So one of the things I've been working on, and I've spoken about a couple times now, is just kind of my on course behavior. I want, because I swear and I break clubs and no, I'm just kidding. But my behavior, as in like how I operate on the course. How do I need to learn to score, and I've identified some things, with like pre-round prep, if it's like a tournament round that I really want to score, or during the round, having specific routines or processes that I can lean on when I need them, and or that will help me to get into a more athletic and performative state for each shot. I've kind of got some stuff ironed out for as far as like just the full swing ball striking, you know, off the tee and approach shots, that I'm seeing some good progress with. But then I get up around their gains and I'm like, okay, well, do I do my same routine here
Mm.
at 30 yards, or can I do something different, like what's always worked for me, or what do I do? And I think even just that indecision has caused me more lost strokes over the last couple rounds than anything.
I would think
Um,
understanding though, like playing more will help you understand what I think part of
right.
it's probably just like you had 12 opportunities this year to kind of like suss that out.
Yeah.
Like, hey, where do I change the way that I approach? Like at what point in proximity to
Right.
the hole do I go into this more, whatever you want to call it, more athletic, more flow, more whatever. So I think just by virtue of having more opportunities to get comfortable with that process, I think should hopefully help kind of answer those questions for you.
For sure. For sure. And that's why I'm hitting it hard with, like, I just need to
Yeah.
play more. If I want to get better, I just need to be on the course more. I can beat balls in my backyard, you know, till the cows come home. I don't have cows, but if they came home, I could hit balls all that time, and it probably wouldn't help me at this point. Um, so I want to just develop clear and specific defined things. So many people say, oh, if you ask a pro what they do in their pre-shot routine or whatever, they can tell you down to the most minute whatever detail. I do this, I do this, I do this, I do this, I swing. And I don't have that. I don't have
Mm.
that. And I need that. Um and then the last thing, I made a goal, or I wrote down a goal for us jointly as a podcast that I didn't
Wow.
tell you about, and I'm just going to run
Uh-oh.
it by you right now.
Let's do
Um,
it.
it's a good thing now. It's a good thing.
Cool.
I think we should
No.
fundraise. We should try and a goal. We should have a fundraising goal of like $1,000 for some kids golf organization.
I
I
love
think
that.
that's
That's
I think that's a solid goal.
that's really good, dude. Look at
And
you being
between you and me,
philanthropic. Oh my
that's
gosh,
right.
man. That's
That's who we are at the Mid
that's
Podcast,
my
right?
love
We care.
language.
We care about the kids here.
We do these kids, man.
These kids.
These
So
kids.
between your social media, presence, and my um, head covers, I feel like we should be able to make that doable, and I feel like that's an honorable thing to do, and it's also a
I'm
goal that's within our control to
thousand
an extent.
bucks. $1,000. Okay. Yeah. We're gonna crush that. We're gonna do that.
Yeah, definitely.
That's gonna happen. I'm not even worried about that. I love
Yeah,
that goal. That's great. That's a good
cool.
one.
That's
You
what I
got to
got.
give back. We got to give back.
You gotta. We love the game. We've talked about this. We love the
Yeah.
game,
Children of
and
the future and
show
all
it some
that.
love. The children are the future.
All right. Well,
Cool.
gosh, good episode. Thank
He
you.
says about his own interview.
Yeah,
God,
yeah.
I'm great.
I mean, this is like, this is a top 3 episode
Out of
easily.
yeah, top two
Top,
even. I
maybe.
would say
Wow. That's high praise. You said it,
it
not
is.
me.
Yeah,
Um, Hey, thanks so much everyone for sticking with us. If you've made it this far, this is the second episode. We've joked, we've got at least 6 coming. But hopefully a lot more. As we've mentioned, if nothing else, this is an opportunity for 2 guys that really love golf to sit down and just chat about it and have fun. And, and eventually, we hope to be able to, talk to maybe some of you folks that have a similar relationship with the game, and talk to some, like we said last episode, talk to some experts, talk to people who've been there that can give us a lot of key insights into what it takes to get better and perform at your best levels. So we've got a lot of great things planned. So please, if you wouldn't mind, subscribe to the podcast, using whatever app that you are to listen. If you wouldn't mind also giving us a rating. I know it's only been 2 episodes, but I think we're absolutely killing it. And if you agree, we'd love a 5-star review, because I've heard that helps with algorithms and whatnot.
sure. And why don't you vote
Geez.
on which episode has been the
Yeah.
best
Yeah.
so
We'll put
far?
a
So we
poll
can
out on
settle.
we'll put a poll out on Instagram, and um speaking of Instagram, you can find us on Instagram at Midam Podcast. Sorry, my wife keeps calling me.
You can find
Or
us
you
on
can
Instagram.
find at Midam Podcast on Instagram. You can find me on Instagram and TikTok at Fade and Fairway. You can find Nathan on Instagram at Thistle Leather Goods. That is it for us. We will not see you, maybe see you. Oh, also we're publishing these on YouTube, so find us on YouTube.
You can
But
see us. We won't see you.
No, but you'll see us, which is the
Yeah,
important thing. All
yeah.
right. Until then,
It'll be
we
a
will
treat.
chat. We will chat next week.
Bye.
Bye.